This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monte Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carrie Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Monty.
Carrie Ann.
Where have you been on my
and
life?
Jason Hoover in the house.
Hey.
And backed by popular demand,
Yay.
Mr. TJ Ojehomon. Hey, TJ.
Welcome. Yay.
Yes.
Our moms called each other.
Yes, it looks like it.
There we go. There we go. Is this power by proximity here? Great
I'm feeling out. I thought my pink would be cool today, but I'm feeling like
we're kind of Easter eggish over here, and then you're holding down the fort.
I'm just cashing things up over here.
I love it.
What it is? Yeah.
Making it happen. Well, this is exciting to have TJ back with us.
It is. You know, TJ is seriously backed by popular demand. We had a lot of great reviews from your last experience, TJ. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have you back on here was, I think that you've proven that you can do this in an organic fashion. I mean, I love watching your social media efforts. I love seeing your success. I mean, for those who don't know TJ's track record, as an example, last month he sold 8 homes, I believe.
8 closings, yeah.
8 closings
Amazing.
last month. That's pretty significant. So the thing I love about TJ is he's willing to share. He comes from a place of abundance rather than, so often I think a lot of real estate folks hide their secrets. And TJ, you laid it out there and you shared the goods, and that's what we want, some more of that this time.
Well, let's go, baby. I'll bring it. Whatever we got here.
We say success leaves clues, and he's leaving them all over the place, so we can learn from him for sure.
So you've marketed yourself as the teaching realtor, correct?
The Nashville teaching realtor.
The Nashville teaching realtor.
That's right.
So let's know a little bit about you again. Remind us what gives you the right, I guess, to have an opinion about this business. How long have you been in it? What did you do before that? My understanding is you're actually in the banking business before real estate at one time.
Absolutely, yeah. So, when I got out of college, I graduated from Lipscomb University, started off my career in banking and finance. And the only way I did that was because we had there was a representative at the university at the time, and I asked him, I said, hey, man, listen, I need help with a job. I mean, I'm graduated at this point. I'm still floating around kind of homeless. And I'm like, listen, I've got $144 in my bank account and no job, and really no place to leave. The university was letting me stay through the end of the month because I was an RA. And ultimately, he said, well, I'll tell you what. He picks up the phone, makes 2 phone calls. He gives me the contact to the GM of Lexus of Nashville and gives me the contact to the president of a local bank in the area. He said, take your pick. And I said, well, kind of compare and contrast. What does that look like? He said, well, with the cars, you're going to probably make 90, 100 grand, and you're gonna work 60 hours a week, but make some money for 3 years and figure out what you want to do. Now with the bank, you're gonna learn a lot. It's gonna be a little slower, but you'll be exposed to a lot of information, and and it's a steady 2-week paycheck. And so I called my grandfather. I said, "What do you think, Bishop?" And he said, "Well, you probably need that 2-week paycheck. You make sure your money's coming in when you got bills, son." And I said, "You can get in that commission stuff later." And I said, "Okay." So I started off in the bank, and that's how I got a lot of finance knowledge around lending and around Federal Reserves and around interest rates, and just a lot of insight to how money moves in different industries. And then transitioned from there, ended up getting recruited by a friend at the time who was starting a property management company. He was a couple years in, had some success that he had built up, and said, hey, I need somebody to come in and kind of help me with business development. So that's what I came in and did, and got my license there. And then that we had a brokerage, and so I got my license there. I was a director of business development, helped bring on probably 150 50 some odd properties or more under management. So grew that portfolio 60 to 80%, and then ended up transitioning full time for myself when the time was right. So ultimately, I've learned, every atmosphere. I mean, I tell my mentees all the time, I said, listen, if you're going somewhere to work and it's not about the money, make sure you're learning something while you're there.
Right.
So I've always learned from every space I've been in.
So good.
And so it's just definitely all coming full circle now.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see you growing your team, because I know you're going to instill in your team members, the same kind of knowledge, the same kind of commitment, the same kind of pursuit of excellence and so forth that you have, and the foundation that you have in it. So TJ, this is July 2022, and something happened in June of 2022 where it felt like the market shifted. So a lot of realtors are wondering what the hell happened, and I don't see you skipping a beat. I see you, staying focused, staying your head down, keep on rolling. I know you got 2 little ones to feed,
right,
and a beautiful wife, and so you're committed to the end goal here of success at a high level. But tell me, what are you doing? Are you pivoting? Are you changing anything? Or are you just staying steadfast with what you've always done with this change in the marketplace?
I think just expanding what you're willing to touch in real estate. Sometimes when the getting's good, everybody wants to touch the one thing, the bread and butter, the low-hanging fruit, and I'm just going to keep attacking that. I think you now have to kind of start tapping into those other skills that you know about, and really start kind of challenging yourself to look at some different opportunities, whether it be estate sales, whether it be property management or leasing for investors, whether it be starting to have conversations with banks about short sale opportunities. You just have to be more creative, and whether it be working with investors and kind of hitting the streets and doing a lot of research for them. So I think just really expanding, kind of looking at everything as needed, and then ultimately still encouraging kind of that home base of your buyers and your sellers to kind of say, hey, listen, yes, things have shifted this market, but here's how you can reposition yourself in it, and just keeping them encouraged. But because the market's not dead, it's just changed a little bit. This is what we see with recessions is cyclical ever since the Federal Reserve was established. This is nothing new. We just got to figure out, what are the elements for this particular shift or downturn or whatever it may be, and then just adjust to it as a professional. So I don't think there's anything to panic about yet. I think it's just ultimately knowing where your pain points are and still being able to address those.
I'm personally looking forward to this adjustment. I don't know if you are, Carrie Ann. I don't know if you are, Jason, but I'm looking forward to it because there's been a lot of luck. In the last 2 years that you find yourself in a transaction and you find out the person on the other end doesn't know what they're doing, and which we're always trying to guard our reputation as an industry. So I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be painful, it is, but I love your approach to it. Carrie Ann, you're the queen of pivot, so one of the things I'd like for you to do with us, not this episode, but a coming one, is to talk about all the different financing changes that you are embracing and giving the agents empowerment to pursue.
Well, what I love about what TJ is talking about is, and Jason, you say this all the time, as a true professional, we bumps and things are going to be thrown at us on a regular basis. We just stay the course. We stay calm. We use all of our skills. We pull out all the tools that possibly we weren't using before, and we do all the things. And we actually have to work a little harder and smarter. Like there's a combo there, and that's okay. I mean, if you want to reach your goals, the decision of another, which means the decision of whatever the market's going to do, is not going to dictate my success, nor is it going to dictate yours. Meaning we're still going to be successful if we put our mind to it, right? And so I love what you're talking about with thinking about diversifying, because again, so many years back, that was what happened to the mortgage world. Like the margins compressed, which means what I made on each unit compressed more than a half, which meant I had to double the units to still cover the cost to, keep something moving in a forward direction. So, but yeah, as business owners, that's what you do, right? You stay fluid, you keep kind of moving. And yes, are there people going to get scared and jump off, and get out? And possibly. And some, that means that they weren't meant to be in it anyways, possibly. I don't know. Maybe we talked about, are you interested or are you committed? Maybe those interested folks may, not be as interested anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And like you were saying, it was easy to be lucky in this previous market. And I liken it to, as a parent, to Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, yeah.
You go there and you play the game and you always win. I mean,
tickets.
You don't have to be skilled to win in that game, as opposed to like if you're playing, at a casino, blackjack or something of that nature. Business is going to continue to happen. Yeah. It's just going to happen a little bit different. I do welcome the slowdown. If you want to say a slowdown, I look at it as that it's getting back into a fair market. And I don't buy into the gloom and doom that we read about. Oh, the market's crashing. The sky's falling. I don't buy into all that. I do see that it's slowing down, and that with that, it's going to people are going to get accustomed to it. We always do. We're clients of, or we're creatures of habit. So once we get into it, and all the shakeup has settled, and the dust has settled. Interest rates maybe at 6, 8, who knows where it's going to be. That will then become the norm,
right?
And everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and talk about comfort for your clients. You hear rates, and I know you work with from your first-time home buyers to investors, right? You work with everybody, right. And so as the teaching real estate agent, kind of teaching them through this rising rate market, and clearly I feel like we've already risen. I think, the rates were ahead of what the projections were going to be. So we're here. Maybe they will continue. I mean, the Fed's got to move the rate, 1.5 still? That's their plan.
Oh, yeah.
And so hopefully, things will balance out here. We'll see what all that means. But, clients that were born in, I always say born into, right? Because they literally, when they were ready to think about real estate, it was possibly 2.25 or was 3.25 for so long, right? And
both
so
clients and agents,
right? You're right, exactly. And we talk all the time. Yes, you had a really high interest rate, but the price of homes were a lot less too, right? So that kind of still balanced out. Now we have higher prices of homes and higher, interest rates. And again, whatever higher technically means, but maybe you share your script or how you're walking through the change of rate.
And I've had this conversation all month. I mean, it's just really thinking through, what we see historically from an economic standpoint. Obviously, you cannot couple. I hear people all the time, our interest rates were 16% when the houses were $85,000. It's a whole different ballgame.
Money.
But, when you've got 400 and 500K houses and that's your median,
right.
You can't sustain a 6, 7, 8% interest rate. However, we know inflation has been incredibly high, probably 400% than what it needs to be. And so they've got to kill the market. We understand that. And so what's happening, we knew was coming. We knew they were kicking the can down the road. But now it kind of hit them pretty hard and fast, and they're going to have to, ride it through and let everybody tank. But what that does for real estate, and here's the beauty about real estate. Real estate is a real commodity, and it has a real value to it. And so it does not just jump up and down maybe like other asset classes, although it may shift kind of gradually. But all in all, the conversation I've been having is here. Listen, guys, right now, inventory is up, maybe 50%, something crazy. And so you've got this great increase in inventory. Remember how starved you were, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, to get in the market, right? Here's your opportunity. And what we have to do now is we have to be a lot more strategic around cost perspective, what we buy, how we buy it, and but your pickings are there. I mean, I'm seeing just a lot more opportunity for options, for the ability to get under contract, for the ability to maybe negotiate title expenses
get
or
some
a little
cost
bit of closing.
cover.
I mean, so that window is there because this is not going to last long. Again, economically, we can't sustain inflation and high interest rates, right? This has to be temporary, and then they're going to level back out. Now, are they going to hit 2.5% again? I doubt that unless we're in a really bad spot. It doesn't make sense for mortgage lenders to be that low on interest rates, so it has to make sense. But even if we come down to the 4s, 4.5s, I think we're still healthy. But regardless, if you can sustain cost right now for a year, 18 months, 2 years, refinance that bad boy down, get rid of PMI all of a sudden, maintain 5 to 8% appreciation rate, you're still in the good, because it doesn't make sense for me. If you're in a buyer in good position, now, you may not like paying it, but if you can afford it, and if it's in your budget, and if the ratios make sense, then go ahead and pick up the stock. Go ahead and pick up the share of land. Hold that bad boy, because when the frenzy comes back, or even when the stability comes back, all of a sudden, everybody's out running again. You don't want to buy when everybody's buying. You want to buy when it's slowing down. You want to sell when everybody's buying. So I think it's a really good opportunity, especially on the buyer side. And for the seller right now, I think ultimately you have to price aggressively. I've still seen some listings. I've called agents and I said, "Hey, what's justification on this price right now?" And we've been, they still think it's an old market and they just kind of want to throw it. Well, you can't do that now. Now you have to be very intentional and strategic with pricing competitively, because remember, there's more competition now on the seller side. So I think it's just really repositioning. Obviously, affordability is going to be something that a buyer is going to have to consider, but all in all, sellers have made great gains for the last 3 years, so I think they're okay. But buyers, if you're in position, if you've still been planning, this is your time to grab it. Interest rate is temporary. We can get rid of that within the next couple of years, and I think you still able to get Nashville real estate. So
I love that, and that's what we're talking about too. Affordability and comfort, right? Change the narrative. Instead of talking about rate, talk about the affordability. You can truly purchase this beautiful home and feel comfortable in it, right? These sentences over. Like, that's great. And like you said, what goes up must come down. Refinancing is an option, which is a lot less expensive than what some people are wanting to buy their rates down and stuff and pay all these points. Right. It's cheaper to refinance when the market does, shift. And so talking with, a qualified lender about amount of interest that you possibly would be paying for the first 2 years, what would that be? And then, looking at a buy down if you want to do that. The STEP program is a tool that we're using right now for the folks that just want to kind of organize their budget in a way that they need a couple years or even 12 months, saving somebody $225
Can you explain that for people with a STEP program? Yeah,
so whatever today's interest rate is, the lender and real estate agent and seller, all parties contributed. They can, if they want to, can work on, and or the buyer can go ahead and pay to lessen that interest rate a full point for the first 12 months. And so that buys you 12 months to kind of reorganize your budget, right? So that car payment is done in 6 months from now, or the student loans are over in 4 months. But right now you might feel like that's a little tight, and so reorganizing and saving a little bit of money today. We did a calculation. It's about over $4,500 in interest, just doing your average median run, and about $225 a month in a monthly savings. And so that's helping those folks. Now, for me as a lender and as a professional, I'm saying, okay, yes, your payment's less $225, but if you have two options. You can just not pay $225 for the next 12 months if you want, or you can slowly increase that to get to a comfortable level of making the higher payment, or you can just know that you're going to have it boost up. Now, the 2-year buys them those 2 years, right? So just in case the market does shift, and in 2 years, then all of a sudden, then you refinance, right. And then you have, nothing has changed because you had the low interest rate for the first 2 years, and then refinance after. So there's tools out there to definitely help buyers feel more comfortable. So
TJ, I see you on all forms of social media. Is that where you're getting the bulk of your business? Or tell me again, I know you're coming from an open book source that you care about new agents, helping them get started. You recognize that you're sowing seed and you'll reap a reward in that. So tell me what if you're talking with a newer agent, How are you going to help them get business?
Yeah, I am. So it's funny because we just brought on a team member this year. It was totally unexpected. I was actually planning on doing it next year, but this is conversations we have to have.
I told you were ready, though.
Well, you did, and it's so crazy though the thing behind it. We can talk about that in a second, but I think first off, just presence is going to be important right now. You have to be visible. You can't just get the license and then say, watch the business come. You can't just post one Facebook post on your personal page and say, watch the business come. You can't not share your successes because if I don't know you're doing this every day, I'm probably not going to be first in line to call you. So I think just being present, like we say, touching those platforms. But another thing too is really getting connected within your community. That's going to be a big thing right now. Is just kind of being in different organizations. It could be being in different workplaces, or it could be going in just socializing at different events. But you have to really, really be connected. I've been in Nashville 12 years now, and those relationships between church, between university, between friendships, between work buddies, between colleagues, other professionals I've connected with have started really paying their dividends. And so if you're new to a particular demographic, or if you're new to a community, it really makes sense to get plugged, and just authentically as well. But another thing too, even with that, is that, it's important to make sure that consistency in relationship is important. So if you just pop up to a mixer, right? How many mixers, one-off mixers have we been to? It's just like, I went for fun night, but I don't expect much from this, right? But it's other groups like, Chamber of Commerce or Business Networkers International, BNI, those groups where you have to consistently be involved with one another,
right?
Really starts kind of helping you get integrated in different markets. So, between social media, between connecting with my city and community, and then also to just being able to give back. A lot of people remember the impact that you leave when you go and volunteer, when you go and speak to a group of students or people that are trying to do what you're trying to do. Those little relationships, just giving back to your community, have a principle to them, and I think that always comes back full fold. So. Yeah, but here's the other thing too. I was talking to I've got a partner down in Chattanooga. We do business together sometimes, and one thing I'm preaching. I'm living what I'm preaching here. But you have to really now, as an agent, have to invest in your business. You cannot just keep doing this thing for free. You cannot just look for, I don't want to put money. I don't want to spend marketing. Everything I do is referral based. You've got to put some investment into consistent marketing and campaigns and presence and business cards and boards and signs, and you have to look like a professional now. And the whole kind of winging the business is not really going to work anymore. Sellers,
especially with this adjustment that's happening,
there's no way. There's no way. They're going to be able to separate the difference. And when like you say, when the getting was good, you could get one of the funniest analogies. An untrained monkey can sell in this market. And so, this is when I said it on a huddle call, and I was just I thought it was the funniest thing.
People were getting, a little brazen in the fact that, they sold a house in a day. I had to set them straight. Well, right now, an untrained monkey could do that. But a monkey can't now.
No, you can't. You have to really be on top of it too. Just even too, I'm telling folks, like, what are you doing? I would look at a $700,000 house on the market, and I see cell phone photos, and I'm just like, are you kidding me?
It's
and you want to sell this house? And it's been on the market 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it's a gorgeous house, but lighting's terrible, etc. You can't do that stuff anymore. So I think really putting actual dollars into your business on a consistent monthly basis is going to make you stand out. And that's one thing that's kind of helped me expedite. I've been full-time 2 years, but ever since I started, I've had business accounts and operation money and reinvested and spent the money. And that has kept things moving consistently, even when somebody else may have had more experience or whatnot. Just staying knowledgeable and then investing in the platforms is going to really pay dividends.
Don't you love the fact he's treating it like a business?
That's Jason? What I was going to say.
Imagine that.
We talk about it all the time, and I think when the world's so busy, to step back. We have no time to step back and create the foundations and, reorganize so we can run our business like a business. This is what we hear a lot, right? When we train and coach people. But to hear, like, this is why you do that. Because when times shift, you are ready. Like, you're not going to miss a beat.
Yeah.
We got to go and it's going to be fine. You're just going to add a couple things here, sprinkle a little bit of this there, and you're going to keep moving. And you're already probably thinking 2 steps ahead. Like, you're thinking, third quarter, for me, fourth quarter already, game planning and strategizing, on what's going to happen. So
TJ, I can't go on LinkedIn without seeing your smile. How do you make that happen?
Well, man,
are you investing in your business again? Is that how that
shout
happens?
out to everything I'm doing, again, consistency matters to people because
that's what I'm saying. I can't go to LinkedIn because everybody who's inviting me into their once whatever they call it,
right?
They're marketing for you, right? Because when I click on that and then erase them, guess who's smiling there? Mr. TJ Ojehomon.
And I'm ultimately, sometimes it may seem like overkill when you share your successes or those stories behind, those victory laps. But I'm going to tell you, when people start kind of going through the funnel of who they want to talk to about real estate, it's like, my goodness, TJ looks like he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
Even if I don't.
Exactly.
You're seeing the successes of me helping other people win.
Right.
And I think that consistency and visibility give people confidence to have a conversation with you. And they feel like, you can be approached, right? Because we always kind of give a gentle lead into it. I don't ever guilt people into real estate.
Well, especially with building yourself out as the national teaching realtor.
Right.
I think that takes down any pretense that you wouldn't want a conversation.
Right. Yeah. Well, my job is to guide, and it's so crazy. All the conversations I have when people are saying, "What do you think I should do?" I always say, well, you got 2 or 3 options, because you do. If somebody's telling you it's a one pigeonhole situation, that's where they don't feel comfortable. That's where they feel like, well, my realtor told me, or the lender said, or it's only one. But I'm like, no, let me go over some options with you, and then you take your pick. And whether it's me involved or not, here's how you can win, and that builds trust. So
I know you work that way as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of Donald Miller. He is like, do you know who that is?
I know Donald Miller. Of course.
You're just like all about it. I'm just like, it's all about the guide over here. That's so good. So being the guide is key. Being the teaching real estate agent, I think is amazing. Like, what a great idea. With what that is. So I think you're onto something. I think that we all can learn a little something about take a step back, continue to just offer value, right? Share that there's lots of options out there in today's market, because there is, and talk more about affordability.
TJ, thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you on, brother.
Absolutely.
So
I love the fact that you're doing this organically, and you're loving people, and you're teaching people, and you're coming from a place of abundance, and now you're adding to your team. And I'm seeing another, success happening here because you're leading this person by the hand through the industry. Which is so critical. To have a great mentor like you is a God thing,
Well, she's great, and it's really been a joy. And what's crazy is sometimes there's that skepticism when you kind of start expanding and bringing other people in, right? It's like, well, I got to start giving it money now, and when is my going to be enough? But I have had my best year investing in her. So it's been one of those things. But I think if you invest people and you do things the right way and bring others along for the journey,
it'll all work out in the end.
Every time.
Sure.
Amen.
Every single time.
There you go.
So good.
Proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks,
and thank
guys.
you, everybody, for joining us. We welcome you back. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.